Hi, I'm Shulin, and welcome to After the Bar. This podcast brings you stories from some of the most accomplished lawyers, former lawyers, and other movers and shakers in the legal industry from around the world. As a former lawyer myself, I've had thousands of conversations with lawyers over the years as a legal recruiter. After the Bar aims to bring some of these conversations to you and give you a glimpse into their world. To receive updates on new episodes, just search Shulin Lee on LinkedIn and follow me. So today, we will get to hear more from a top real estate lawyer, a senior partner of Raja & Tan, and he is none other than Norman Ho. We'll hear about what drives him, ask him to share some interesting stories from his career, and how he's become the top real estate lawyer he is today. I've known Norman for a couple of years now, and he's one of the most high-profile lawyers in real estate, doing real estate in Singapore. He's also regarded by many in the industry as the go-to real estate partner. A career that spans across more than 35 years, he specializes in transactional corporate real estate matters such as commercial buildings, hotels, malls, industrial parks, and development projects. He regularly advises on many varied types of clients. So these include property developers, investment funds, investors, property consultants, financial institutions, and so many more types of clients. Over the years, Norman's established a strong reputation in the real estate market, and he's well known for his astute structuring and commercial acumen in high-profile real estate deals. Hi, Norman. Thanks so much for being here. Really appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you for inviting me, Solin.
Thank you. So obviously, we have many questions, and I thought where better to begin than maybe right at the beginning.
Sure.
When you were in law school. Did you ever think that you were going to specialize in real estate? You know, did you maybe do some property law modules that sparked your interest? How did it start?
Yeah, I actually, law is never part of the equation. We're going to university. My family siblings are all from Chinese school. I speak Mandarin at home. So it was actually a very difficult decision, but my dad thought that we should have a lawyer in the family.
I see.
Unfortunately or fortunately, I applied to NUS and I got in. So I ended up doing law. Well, real estate, not really, because I started as a litigation lawyer and then I went to banking. In fact, after 2 years or so, I had a sponsorship or scholarship from my firm then, Rodite, who then sent me to London to do a postgraduate course in LSE on international finance and banking.
I see.
And I was in an English law firm for a year or so. And then I have to come back because they were looking for people to do real estate because in the 1980s, that's many years ago, the property was facing a boom in Singapore.
Yes.
And they needed real estate lawyer. So I thought, why not give a try since I'm already doing banking work and it'd be a good opportunity to move on.
Oh, I see. So was there anyone in Rodite Dentons back then that encouraged you to specialize in real estate, or it just naturally happened?
It was natural because I am a person who is very interested in looking at new areas of law. Like even real estate, I got into en bloc because nobody was doing it. I wanted to do it and to be there. See, so it was a challenge for me.
Yeah.
More than anything else. Yeah.
Okay. Well, because you mentioned en bloc, I know that there are some people who call you the en bloc king.
Yes.
I know you don't quite like that label, but when I heard that, I was like, wow, that's such a sexy label, en bloc king. Yeah. So you've done many
I've
deals,
done many.
right?
I've done about 200, and recently I just closed Walton Estate, which is supposed to be the largest in Singapore this year.
Yes.
In fact, I did Farrer Court, which is 618 units. It's the biggest in Singapore.
Amazing.
And also Park House, which I'm very lucky. It got the highest price in Singapore for any en bloc.
Yes.
So I was extremely lucky.
Yeah. I'm sure luck has a part to play. But in addition to en bloc, you do a lot of very complex real estate deals, transactions, and you act for all sorts of clients. Just now I mentioned such a mouthful, a very long list of clients. How did that come about? Like you built this business where you act for so many different types of clients in Singapore and overseas?
I think it's quite different. It's quite different from a young lawyer because I've been in practice for like 35 years now. And over the years, you acquire the experience and exposure people get to know you, and because of your years of experience, you are able to structure deal and see deals in different angle, and actually to actually advise clients and to make sure that the structure is advantageous to them. Maybe speed, a better way of doing things, or even saving money.
So maybe word of mouth. So you've done a good job for some of these deals. Then
I think
it
not
keeps
only
coming
word
back.
of mouth, but good friends in the legal fraternity, senior lawyers, friends like yourself, or even LinkedIn.
Yeah, LinkedIn.
I've got some very, very good and amazing clients, which surprisingly came from LinkedIn,
Wow.
who then link me and say that, yes, I saw your credentials. Do you like to work with us?
Wow, the power of social media.
Yes.
Wow,
it's
Norman,
very
I'm
important.
impressed. I'm impressed. Okay, and in working on complex real estate deals, right? And you and I have had a chat about this before. So it's a given that sound technical legal skills are essential.
Yes.
But in addition to that, it's very important, not just for real estate lawyers, for lawyers in general, to be able to think very commercially. So my question to you actually is, your commercial mindset, is it something that do you think is developed over the years, or you already had that, the X factor, what to look out for? So nature versus nurture.
Sure, but I think the most basic things for me is that you treat your client as your friend, and you gain their respect, be responsive, and it's very important as your friend. And you have a good team of lawyers working for you. Be fair to them, gain their trust, and they will always be there to support you. So you got both demand of clients and to be able to actually cater for the needs and get the young lawyer to be in a team with you. Over the years of experience, you see more and more things. As more and more new regulation and law comes up, you try to tackle them and look at them and see how we can resolve it. For example, recently when I acted for this company buying shares of a company 2 layers up, and how and I was advising them it's possible to write in to give the reason to avoid the additional conveyance duty, which is more than 30%. And with logical reasoning, I think the authority will listen to you, and I managed to get a waiver. And the deal was like 200 million. 30% is a lot of money.
A lot.
Yes.
That's a lot.
I think it's important to think out of the box.
Yes.
In our practice. It's not the strict ambit of the law itself. I'm not saying that you have to be doing things illegally, but actually to see how to structure it, to go beyond, and to be able to advise the clients to do it legally. But there is a way, an exemption that you can actually benefit them.
Yeah.
I think that's very important.
And I think you're very modest, because I asked you, about your commercial skills, and then you immediately talk about the clients and your team. But I'm sure for yourself, if you speak to any client, because I remember I read a quote. Norman is brilliant with clients. He will always tell you not to do things if he thinks it won't be advantageous, right? And I'm personally curious, what's your winning formula with clients? Because I think at the end of the day, there are so many lawyers in the market. There are real estate lawyers and there are real estate lawyers. And you have really cemented your reputation in the market. Like it's not by pure luck. I'm sure luck comes to play. It's your hard work. I have no doubt. I mean, at 2 or 3 a.m., you were still emailing me. So just curious, what do you think sets you apart from other real estate lawyers?
I think the whole basic thing is that you must be sincere and responsible to your clients. Treat them as friends, so that when there is a difficulty, they will talk to you, and you can actually speak to them openly. To be very honest with you, as a professional lawyer, as a good lawyer, I don't like to be taken advantage of. A client must pay a fair fees, but they know they're in good hands. They have the best advice, if possible, to save them a few million at least in a transaction. I think they will always be your friend and your clients forever.
Yes.
I think that's very important. These are soft skills which I sometimes find difficult in younger lawyers.
Yes.
But which I think that in years to come, I'm quite sure they can pick up.
Yes.
I was young once too. I've been practicing for 35 years. So I think that give them opportunity and proper guidance, you can grow them. And I believe in teamwork, and I believe in caring for my lawyers. And that's very important, extremely important for me.
Yes, extremely important. Because in any real estate deal, it's not just clearly it's not just you, it's a
Yes.
team of lawyers, and you were talking about corporate tax. So maybe you have to engage people who are
Yes.
experienced in the tax side of things.
Yeah, but I think that being a senior lawyer and driving the deal, you probably have to know generally what are the issues there.
Yeah.
And if I need a good advice of the tax or employment issue, for example, if I'm helping a client to to buy a hotel in the course of construction, I may need construction lawyers, I may need employment lawyers, I may need IP lawyers for the naming rights,
Yes. Yes.
M&A lawyers because of the share sale.
Yes.
So in the end, you actually learn a lot from your colleague. But if you have done enough deals, you know more and more of the issues involved, and you learn. And that's the exciting part about corporate real estate.
Real estate, okay. And just now, going back to the point just now, you were saying that for the younger lawyers, it's sometimes difficult to find people with that soft skill. And you said maybe over the years you can hone that.
Yes.
I mean, I'm you know what I do for a living, which is legal recruitment. And a lot of clients come to us and they say, Shulin, it's fine this person has first class or second upper.
Sure.
That's a given that they have strong legal technical skills.
Yes.
But that commercial mindset, common sense is not common. In fact, I keep hearing that.
Yes.
It's true. And I'm just wondering, is it because of, you said you were young once, is it because of the times we live in? Or it's just we all have to go through a rite of passage and,
For me, I think everyone have to go through a rite of passage. Young lawyers must be given opportunity.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, I mean, I wouldn't accept the work of every lawyer. There are lawyers, sometimes I do have to manage and counsel them out because I think clients deserve the best, the very best. So I think, first and foremost, you must give them opportunity.
Yes.
Work with them with respect. If some people are just not qualified or not keen to be a lawyer, for example,
Like myself.
But maybe a greener pasture elsewhere. But at least you give them opportunity.
Yes, the opportunity.
I'm very lucky that if you remember, I said that I come from a Chinese-speaking family. I never thought I'd even do law or even succeeded, in my career. But then opportunity is given to me,
Yes.
and I'm very lucky, and I'm blessed with good people, my partners, my colleagues, and also importantly my clients.
Yeah.
I think it's important.
So from someone who didn't want to do law or didn't set out to do law, you spent 31 years in Rodite, one firm, 31 years, right? Some people don't even work for that many years.
Well, I never thought so. I thought I'd leave after 5 years. In fact, that's the reason why I decided to do my postgraduate after 2.5 years. I had a burnout, and I told myself maybe I should just take a break. In fact, I had an offer after my graduation in LSE
Yes.
to work in an investment bank because I was doing banking in New York. But I think it's the passion of law that drives me to want to come back. And also because I was under a scholarship, it was quite difficult for me to just say, hey, I'm leaving and I'm going to New York.
Yeah.
It's all just opportunity, and I'm lucky.
Opportunity,
I'm extremely
yes.
lucky.
But it's like sliding doors, right? What if you had taken that opportunity
Yes.
up, right?
And the firm was Shearson Lehman. So I
Whoa.
probably end up with a job now.
Yeah. So during those 31 years in Rodite, just wondering, were there any instances where it ever crossed your mind? I know you've had job offers after LSE, but just wondering whether you ever thought of making a move at all, whether it's outside of law, into in-house or to another firm.
To be very honest,
Yeah.
no.
Wow.
Because I started my days as a pupil there.
Yes.
There's a trainee there. My philosophy in life is that when I join a place, I would love to leave the place better than the day I joined.
Wow.
So it was there for 31 years.
My goodness. So Raja and Tan is very lucky to have you. Now.
I think I'm also very lucky because it was at the cross path when I was 60.
Yes.
It was a retirement age. And dentists, I suppose they have their own internal policy, some strange policy, which I thought then maybe it's time for me to look for a new opportunity.
Yes.
Then when the news hit in the market, somehow it was very quick that quite a few law firms, 3 law firms spoke with me. Raja and Tan is not one of them. But then, I was fortunate that they actually was the last.
Yes.
But they came to me very, very quickly. It was very easy because they told me that you come and one condition I had is that you must take my whole team.
And your team, how large was your team?
There were 7 of us.
Oh, 7.
The day when they sensed that I was unhappy, they actually, all of them told me they want to live together with me.
Oh, so loyal.
Yeah, it was very difficult for me if some firms want to choose to take two or only take me alone.
Yes.
So Raja and Tan actually gave me an offer, and we set up and set up the agreement within less than a week, I think.
Wow, that's the fastest team move I've ever heard.
They're very, very, very quick, and they make very good decision.
I see.
I'm very, very happy there. So I'm really, really blessed.
So back in January 2017, you moved together with your team of 7, right, to Raja and Tan. Were there any teething difficulties, were there any particular challenges, or like you had to make any adjustments? Because, after 31 years in one firm, suddenly you move to, it's a big firm, it's a strong brand.
Yeah, it was a bit difficult for me to move, but then I thought about it that I have to do it because it's a point where I need to make a decision. It was not difficult because even before I had an offer, my whole team wanted to leave with me, and in fact, 2 of my lawyers, in fact, even tendered. I was very surprised. Even tendered without getting a job to say, if you're not here, I'm not going to work anymore.
My goodness,
here.
wow.
Yeah. So I was very, very lucky. Really blessed.
And then they eventually moved to Raja and Tan.
Yes.
Okay.
So when I told them I'm going Raja and Tan, then they said they'll follow me. It was quite easy because I had the support of my whole team. So as far as work is concerned,
yes.
I think it was easy because the people handling the files are all with me. And to be honest, I think. And I'm quite sure 100% of my clients follow me. All my clients follow me. They keep on telling me that it's the name, it's your name, but I don't think it's true because if I've started my own law firm, I don't think anyone will ask me to help them to sell a building. Yeah, but I was lucky that Raja and Tan fits my aspiration very, very well.
Yes.
And the partners there are extremely nice, so it's not difficult at all. They're warm and really, really accommodating.
Amazing. Okay, I'm glad. And talking about selling buildings, so, you have so much drive, energy and passion, right? You complete deal after deal. I keep seeing it on LinkedIn. So it seems like your stamina is stronger than most. What keeps you going? And how old are you now, if you don't mind?
66 next month.
Wow, 66 next month.
Yeah.
Yes. And because your stamina, honestly, I think even people half your age don't have that stamina.
I think it's a passion. The passion to do well and to serve your clients. I think it's important for me because you are providing a service, do it well, be responsive, and treat your clients as your friend. They'll be there for you forever. The next thing, they will trust you. The next equally important thing is your team. You be fair to them, treat them well, understand their need, and grow them. That creates respect. So I think this is the twin pillar of my practice. Trust from clients, respect from your fellow colleague and your team members. And this will keep it going because without my team there, I don't think I can work like that. With so many deals, it's just looking at it at a very high level.
Yes.
And if they have issues, they come and discuss with you. But they are really the people who actually make the deal. And I'm very grateful for them.
Yes, okay, yeah. I'm sure your team will be listening to this. So this is more of a general question for people outside of law, but in the real estate market.
Sure.
So for instance, if I'm a billionaire and I'm looking to acquire another building, and for these sort of big real estate deals, I'm sure they have their in-house counsel and all that. But very often, at which stage of the transaction do they engage you? Is it even right at the start before they make that decision, or or it varies?
I think sometimes they go into a contract without seeing lawyers. They get in-house to do it. But usually not for big transactional deals, to be honest.
Yeah.
I would much prefer them to go and see a lawyer right from the beginning. If I think the deal is not viable, I'd rather you not go into it. I don't mind not even charging you because it's a relationship. But at least from the start, I know how to react on issues and I can spot issues in for example, if there are tax issue, ACD, additional buyer stamp duty, and they buy a building which is a residential unit, and you got 30% tax, this will actually be very difficult for clients to see because you enter into a contract without consulting your lawyers. It's not like buying a $1 million condominium because it's like at least like 100 million. So I would much prefer clients to come and see me first. If the deal doesn't go through, I don't mind, charging less or even trying to waive the fees of very good clients. But at least we have a head start together with clients and move this journey together.
Rather than go into the wrong transaction.
And it's very difficult to resolve.
Yeah, it's very difficult to unravel.
Yeah.
And we all know in Singapore and worldwide, right, the
Yes.
real estate market for residential has gone bonkers, crazy. How about for these big multi-hundred million dollars worth of deals? Has it also been explosively growing?
I mean, I remember doing a chapter in a book by LexisNexis that they asked me to write on real estate, and I found a quote by Donald Trump to say that real estate is the sweetest deal he has smelled, and people like Li Ka-shing, they're all on real estate.
Right.
Unfortunately, I'm not. Okay, I don't have very much
I
real
find that hard
estate.
to believe.
Yeah. So basically, I think real estate is important because in every country, developing country or developed country, real estate is really a component. It's very strange that during the COVID period, real estate actually picked up a lot in Singapore. I think partly because in Europe and America, because the pandemic was really bad, people are looking into Asia. In Hong Kong, unfortunately, because of security law, people are thinking of moving down to Singapore. So Singapore is seeing a lot of activities, commercial activities, on transactional real estate. At the same time, there are not many buildings on sale. You look at office building, most of them are leasehold, and most of them are owned by the big boys.
Right.
CDL, CapitaLand, there are not many for sale. So the ones changing hand like every 3 years, 5 years changing hand are almost like the same building.
I realized that actually.
That's
I keep seeing the same names come up, and then they keep coming back to you.
Yes. Well, whether coming back to me or not, I think that I'm lucky to have the opportunity to quote and to be there, either as a buyer or for the seller, or because I'm also a banking lawyer.
Yes.
I will get my banking partners to work together with me for the financing. So we are very lucky in that sense.
I see. Interesting. Okay. And do you have any advice for the next generation of lawyers? So, I mean, you were young once, as was I. In particular, lawyers who are aspiring to perhaps follow in your footsteps, specialize in real estate. Is there any pearl of wisdom you can offer?
I think for young lawyers, they must take up the challenge and face the changing landscape of law, because now with AI, if you are talking about doing retail conveyancing, you might as well forget it and don't be a lawyer, be a housing agent, because a lot of the deals are done by secretaries.
Right.
Sometimes you want to recruit real estate lawyers. If they don't have a proper training, I think the secretary is probably better than them.
Actually, that's the misconception, right? People think real estate lawyers, they think they do just conveyancing.
Yes. So the thing is that lawyers, if they are interested in doing real estate, go into transactional work. Like I say, when you do the more sexy stuff, like buying a building where you can actually work with your colleague from the tax, from the corporate department, and from employment, from IP, so you can see different facets, and together you put together a team and achieve what clients want, and you learn in the meantime. So I think it's not so boring as what they call real estate practice. It's important to face the challenges because of the AI. With different disciplines, like now you got technology, you got very complex financial structure.
Yes.
Go into the aspect of law where there are legal requirements, and for this kind of profession to advise the different stakeholder. Don't go into traditional kind of practice. It's going to be very, very difficult.
Yes.
Because you will be overtaken by the machines, basically.
Yes.
And it's very frightening.
It is very frightening.
Yes.
And in fact, this ties in very nicely to my next question, because you've mentioned about AI, and how the market has been evolving.
Yes.
Just wondering, what threats do you see to the legal industry? And because over the years, I mean, you've practiced for more than 30, 35 years. In fact, you were practicing when we still use mainly fax machine, right?
No, it was
No?
a telex machine.
Telex machine.
Yeah, which I don't think you heard of. It was telex machine. It's very different. And the fax machine just came, and I remember that the only computer we have was a WAN computer, which is not heard of now.
WAN computer.
Yes, we have a specific room for the WAN computer.
Oh, wow.
You have to move very far from there.
Now we have computers in our pockets.
Yeah, that's right.
Yes. So at every stage, in when you were practicing, so from telex machine to fax machine to then emails came
That's
about.
right. That's
maybe what in
But
2000?
about 10 years. Maybe
Yes,
10 years.
10 years.
Yeah.
Then now it's WhatsApp, right?
Yeah.
Things are
WeChat, and it was
Yeah,
very
WeChat,
difficult.
yes.
And a lot of clients write to me on WeChat, which drives me crazy because my team is not informed, especially big transactional deals,
Yes.
and then I have to transfer those texts to my email for the
Yes.
group to be involved. I think
Yes.
it's extremely difficult.
Yeah, it's extremely
It's just
difficult.
moving too fast for me.
Yeah.
And sometimes I wonder whether I can catch up.
Yeah, for me too, actually. So catching up. So if we were to look at to gaze into the crystal ball, right? And you said it yourself, we have to be adaptable. Lawyers need to look at transactional matters. What changes do you think? Because you have evolved with the times, right? As a real estate lawyer, as a lawyer in practice.
Sure.
So, and I'm sure certain things will still apply to the junior lawyers, the mid-level lawyers, right? What
Yep.
changes do you think they need to adapt so as to stay relevant?
I think change is more of technology, but there's some basic things you can't deny. It's a soft skill.
Yes.
It's an EQ.
Yes.
How you structure a deal, the computer can, as at today, can't tell you what to do.
Yeah.
How to structure the best deal. But you must be able to think and think beyond what your clients want and to help them. I think this is something which will only come with experience, but young lawyers must be keen to learn, must be exposed. Just that I have learned from lawyers before me who are very, very good and senior lawyers, and I benefited a lot. I hope the young lawyers will always try to learn. They will catch up.
Yes.
And I'm quite sure they will not be replaced. They can only be replaced to a certain extent, like the work which is commoditized,
Yes.
but not the kind of like structuring and giving the human touch to it.
Yeah, the human touch.
Yes.
I love what you just said, structuring the best deal. Because that's what clients want. Like if I am buying, I don't think I'll be buying a $100 million building anytime soon, but if I do, I want to go to someone who's like, you're going to structure it the best
And
way.
to save money. That's even more
Save
important.
money. 30% tax
Yeah.
savings. That's a lot. Yeah. Okay. And so if you have a chance to do a do-over, right? If you look back 35 years, when you were in LSE, before the NUS, is there anything you might do differently in your career and why?
I don't think I'll do anything else because I really love the law. Maybe I've been very lucky to be in the firm and with among my colleagues whom I really treasure and love working with. I don't think I'll do it any differently. I mean, in retrospect, when I look at it, I never even thought about law. It was the last thing in my mind, speaking Mandarin at home.
So what were you going to do if not for law?
I'm a more arty person.
Okay. Media.
Maybe architecture or something like
Oh,
that,
okay.
But my friends
Architecture.
who are architect told me you're very lucky you didn't. Or medicine, but then because my brother was lecturing in a university, I didn't want to go to medicine. Yeah, but law fortunately suits me very
You
well.
found your niche
Yes.
and you're doing it so well. Okay, so now that we've heard from you, Norman, the lawyer, before we wrap up the podcast,
Sure.
so wondering if we can get personal and ask some quick questions. So what's your favorite country to visit?
Well, I naturally like England because I studied there, I lived there, I've got houses there.
You've got houses there.
Yeah, but which I sold just before the Brexit. It's very convenient, the food, the people, the shopping, the language. But to be honest, I think I love China a lot more. A lot.
Which part of China?
The first time I've been China is in the late 1980s. The people are still wearing green uniform. I like the energy, I like the change, and I'm very proud to be a Chinese because there's so much changes and there's so much energy.
Yes.
So China is actually very good, and I speak Mandarin, so it's actually very good. If you ask me which part, I've been almost everywhere. Tibet, not yet Xinjiang, but things like Xi'an, Nanjing, Beijing, Suzhou, Hangzhou.
Wow.
Even Zhangjiajie, Jiucaigou, all that. I've been a lot.
Well, I'll ask you for recommendations the next time. And how about comfort food? After a long day ending at 3:30 a.m., what do you like to eat?
I think I eat to live, It's very, very simple. Quite often I go without my lunch. And if I need to negotiate late in the night, if I happen not to tell my helper to cook for me and she's asleep, I may just have a cup noodle and go to sleep.
That's how you keep so trim.
Yeah, but I go to gym 2 or 3 times a week.
I see.
You must keep yourself mentally alert and physically fit.
Yes, I agree.
I think that's very important.
100% agree.
Yes.
Okay. Do you have a favorite movie or TV show?
Not really. I don't think I have time, and I don't have the discipline to go and book a ticket, because last minute there may be meetings, and I may just want to relax and stay at home.
Yes.
I don't really watch movie, but one thing I have acquired recently is going to YouTube. I find it very interesting because it's in a way supplementing your news,
Yes.
and listen to different opinions and different views and the prejudice and the biasness of some of these videos. It's really interesting. So, I mean, without a doubt, I will go to YouTube for at least like half an hour. Either early in the morning, you have time, or in the evening to look at it.
Yes.
For the movie, no, I think I can't remember the last movie, but I'm looking forward to this film called Battle of Lake Chungjing, I think.
Oh, sounds
which was a record breaker in China. But I heard it just came to Singapore yesterday. So over the weekend, I hope to catch.
Get the ticket.
The tickets, yeah.
So if you can sum up in one sentence, what's your motto in life? I've heard you say, treat your client as a friend. Do the best for them. So I get that. But in general, what's your motto?
I think you want to be a professional. Make sure you live up to the standard. Be very good at what you're doing. Be responsive. But at the same time, serve your clients well, but at the same time, be fair to your team members, to your firm, because they are there for you, and take care of them. Grow them, so that one day, even when you're no more around, they look at you and say, this is the man I respect, and I want to be like him. I think that's very important for me.
Yes, leaving a legacy.
Yeah, leaving a legacy.
Yes.
I think it's extremely important.
Yes. So one last question. Throughout this interview, it's been very enlightening actually, listening to you talk. Is there one question you wish I could have asked and I didn't ask you today?
Wow, that's quite difficult.
Sorry to put you on the spot. Is there any question?
When would I be retiring? Have you not stayed in the legal profession long enough and to give some people some leeway?
But you are paving the way for the next gen of lawyers.
Yeah. As long as I'm able to, I would like to stay. I've made my promise to make sure that I will contribute, and I want to bring up. My team has supported me all these years. They've moved with me, and now it's already 5 years. I want to make sure that I'm there for them.
Well said, Norman. I think your team will be so delighted to hear that from you. Thank you so much again for your time and being a guest here.
Yeah.
Really, really appreciate it. I really enjoyed talking to you. So if you'd like to get in contact with Norman, then please check out the notes on this episode where his contact details will be found and details of anyone mentioned on the show. If you've enjoyed this podcast, then be generous and share it with as many people as you can. Rate it and review it, and follow me on LinkedIn. Thanks so much for listening. Join us next time to find out what could be in store for us after the bar.